G'day friends and welcome to another one of my videos. I hope you're well wherever in the world you are. Now today I wanted to do a bit of a tutorial on the Roland VR-1HD, which is my favorite mixer. Actually, it's my only mixer, so it has to be my favorite. Now today we're going to have a look at the auto switching feature. It's one of the unmentioned features that I think has so many benefits for someone that wants to stream and do it all on their own without having an editor or someone looking after changing cameras. The Roland VR-1HD has it inbuilt and it does it all for you if you just set it up right. So if you want to find out how to do that, well, let's stick around. And welcome back. Now for the very first time I have every port in the Roland VR-1HD plugged in and ready to go, which is quite strange. So in order for me to set up this demonstration, I am using the Roland to its best capacity. So we've got a bit of a setup. So first of all, camera 1 is right there. Camera 2, hi, it's up there. Camera 3 is going to be our desktop. So today we'll be doing our configuration or our demonstration using the software, which is called the remote control software from Roland for the VR-1HD. You can actually make all the configuration changes straight into the Roland using the USB cable that's provided with the device. So this particular console now is connected directly to my Mac or your PC, depending on what you have. So I'm going to go into picture-in-picture mode just to show you my head and also the desktop. Now, the reason we're doing the software is because I did it last time, and when I did the green screen tutorial, link is provided up there if you want to know how to do that. Obviously the overlay came of the video didn't look professional, so I thought I'd try it this way to try out the software. So the software can be downloaded from the Roland website. It is version 1.2. If you've upgraded your firmware on the device, make sure you also get the new software because it talks hand in hand with the new features that the firmware brought. So first of all, we're going to do is hit the connect button. Now, the good thing about this software is it lets you make configurations offline and to files, or you can work directly with the device, and I'm doing that right now. Now, I can make any changes and then save them later once I've closed the software down. So, you know, I have different configurations for different situations. This is the one that I normally use when I'm actually doing tutorials and sort of training, right? Okay, so we've got the software up and running, and as you can see, we can hide the menu or show you the menu. It's got all the different pop-ups. So for example, if you wanted to play around with the audio mixer, there you are. It's actually there, and you can close it, but it can be opened from the side panel. So what we're going to do today is have a look at the different options for the auto switching. Now the auto switching button is on the screen as well. If you have a look, it's this one here that says auto switch, but it's a very, very well labeled button on the device itself. Now if you click on the auto switching on the side menu bar, it brings this one up. So you've got a software on and off button. You've also got the type, you've got auto scan, you have beat sync, and then you have video follows audio, which is really cool. But first of all, let's go to auto scan. Now, auto scan is pretty, I guess, self-explanatory. What it does, you can enable all the different inputs to be a source, right? So for example, I've got input 1, I've got input 2, input 3. Now the cool thing about this too, it also takes into considerations the scenes like the picture-in-picture and whatever. So you can configure whatever the auto switching that you want to be what it displays on screen. Now today we're going to do a very rudimentary one. What we're going to do is we're just practically going to do an auto switch between the 3 cameras or the 3 inputs, and we'll do it, see how it goes. So what it's actually telling me here is that the sequence can either be normal, which follows camera 1, 2, and 3, or random. It just goes wherever randomly. But then it also keeps it on the screen for 7 seconds. Now you can make this as long or as short as you want, and let the program do its thing. So I'm going to turn it on, and then you'll start seeing what happens. So first of all, goes to camera 1. Then it should wait 7 seconds, and then go to camera 2, which is up there. And then we should go then to camera 3, which is my desktop. And there you have it, right? So I'm going to turn it off. Just go back. Now, when you turn it off, it stays on at the last camera that you had it, on the switching, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a little bit of a modification now. So what I'm going to do now, instead of having my camera or my desktop as my last input, I'm going to turn that one off. I'm going to turn that one off. And I am going to turn my scene number B on. All right, so I'm going to take it to 7 seconds, just like everything else, and I'm going to take this one to off, and then you'll see what happens. So we go back to on, and we're starting off on the most frequent one. Then we go back to camera 1, and we're going to be there for 7 seconds, and then we should go to camera 2 up there, and then we should go back pretty soon back to the desktop yet again. And there you go. But this time we've got the picture in picture, which is pretty good. So I'm going to turn it off, and now we're back here again. Cool, easy, self-explanatory, no big deal. Okay, now the next example that I want to take you through is the beat sync feature. Now this is really cool because it actually has the ability to switch to the beat of the music, or to a certain rhythm, right? Now if you wanted to create like a very quick video, like a music video, this is a perfect scenario when it comes to that, because you can bring in music from any port, and then the system will actually change the music depending on where it's coming from, right? So I don't really have an example because I'm not musically inclined, but my son is a DJ. So if he had like a 3-camera setup, for example, this would be great for him, because he could be doing his thing, he could be DJing, concentrating on that, and the camera would be changing depending on the actual sequence that was happening. So if you have a look at the screen again, I've gone to type 2, which is beat sync. Now I've chosen my input source, or my sync source, from the PC, because what I'm going to do, I was going to play some music, then I realized that it's probably going to get copyright banned or copyright struck. So I'm using some music with no license from the PCs to make this example happen. And then if you look at the next one, the cycle is how quickly you want the changes to happen. If you go down to 1, it's going to change boom, 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 very quick. It goes all the way up to 10, and then that will give you the ability to sort of slowly phase in the music. But let's go to 4, let's go to 5, just to give you an example of what it's like. Once again, you can change it from random on sequence order, and then once again, you can choose which ones are the inputs you're going to switch within your sequence, and you can use the scenes as well. So I am going to now turn on the beat sync, and I am going to turn on my music. I know we're acting stupid. But let's move on to the next one. So the next one that I wanted to do is the one that really excites me, because this is the one that allows you to do podcasting 2 to 3 people, or maybe more 2 than 3. The third camera is usually a camera that sort of looks at a room. So once again, think Joe Rogan, two people talking to each other. When everyone goes quiet, then you get this camera that looks from both directions or looks at the two people talking. But let me give you an example of that. Okay, so let's change it over to video follows audio. Now, the time sequence is how long it actually takes to switch over from one video source to the next one. So if I do it a bit longer, then what you're going to see is that it's going to change. But let's do an example first, just so you can see what in heaven's name is going on. So it's on. So keep an eye on the camera. I'm going to switch over to this other mic, which is this one over here. And it is switching over to the desktop. Why is it doing that? Oh, I know why. Now, I was playing around with the configuration before, and if you can have a look, I've got mic 1, which is input 1, which is you. Now, input number 2, which is up there, I've actually got it set to input 3, which is the desktop. Now, that's not what I want. So let's switch back over here, and I'm going to show you my desktop again. So in my settings here, I've got mic select 1, which is input 1 camera. Mic select 2, which is my mic to the side. I'm going to choose input 2, right, which is the camera at the top, right? So now let's try this one again. Okay, camera 1, camera 2, camera 2, camera 2. So that's the switch. So I'm talking to this one, so it automatically follows that video once I made the changes. Now go back over here, and it does back to this camera again, right? Now, I want you to pay attention, because this is the sort of reason this mic sense 1 and mic sense 2. Now, this mic has a better or much more gain. On this one, it's got a cloud lifter, so I don't have to speak as loud for it to pick me up. But when I want to switch over to this one, I actually have to speak a little bit louder, right? Now, what we want to know here is how we can adjust that, right? How can we adjust it so we don't have to talk really loud for the mic to pick up? And this is one of the settings that you have to play around with to get it right, because not every speaker is going to speak as loud as the other person, right? So you want to have the gain on one mic higher for people that are soft-spoken, and you want to have the mic softer for someone that is a loud talker, right? So the Roland takes this into consideration. So let's go back over here. And this particular settings here, so this is mic sense. The mic sense option allows me to shift it depending on the the volume of the person and the mic pickup, right? So I'm going to switch it over to 70. And what you're going to notice is that it's going to switch the camera over quicker, and I don't have to speak as loud. So here we go. Okay, so now I'm talking normal volume, and it is actually changing over pretty quickly to this particular camera. But now we go back to this one, and I really don't have to try very hard, and it's actually changing it. Now, one of the things that I want to also show you here, so when I go back to the software, and I keep on forgetting that the software disappears. You can have a input 1 and 2. So for example, if the two people are speaking at the same time, it allows you to prefer a camera. So for example, if I'm the boss of the podcast, and when we're having a bit of a debate, I want the camera to point at me, I'm going to say, when you have this conflict, or mic 1 and 2 are going off, you can tell it which camera to actually prefer. Or you can have it one of the scenes, like obviously, like you can pick, another configuration. But then when no one's talking, you also have an option here to pick the one that you choose. So for example, here, I'm going to pick input 3, which is my desktop, right? So I'm going to shut up, and what's going to happen is that in 2 seconds, it should shift over to input number 3. And then when I start talking again, I'm back again. So that's cool, right? So that's one of the features that I think works out really, really nicely. Especially if you want to be really cool and sort of do this stupid podcast on your own, where you use 2 different mics to talk about the same thing. Anyway, yeah, enough mucking around. So those are the features of the auto switching. I actually had a good time playing around with it. There's so much that it can innately do for you without having to have like a producer like behind the scenes, like making all the changes for you. It's pretty good. So that's it. So if you've got any questions, just leave them on the comment section below. If they get enough questions, I'm going to sort of review them in the podcast on the weekend. But, I had such a good time sort of learning the features of this device. And once the next firmware came along, it was so cool. It worked really well. So that's it. If you like the video, give me a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, why haven't you? I mean, what's up with that? And until the next time, ciao for now.